Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's lesson is about how to fill up your sketchbook. When I first started buying sketchbooks when I was younger, I wanted to fill them up with all kinds of really cool critters and weapons and environments and creatures and such. And then when I started to open the sketch pages up and I started to place lines down, I immediately hated what I put down. So then it forced me to either erase what was on there and ruin the coating of the paper, or it forced me to rip out the page, put an X on whatever I drew, or just completely abandon the sketchbook entirely. And I had all of these decent sketchbooks with tons of pages in there, basically forgotten, and there were stacks of them. You know, and at the time my parents were buying my sketchbooks for me, and they were spending some good money on it, and I just never really went forward with filling anything up. And then as I started to practice and I got older, I started to realize that if I just took a step back and reevaluated my mindset going into drawing, that's when everything changed. So I'm going to give some tips today on how to fill up your sketchbook. And the number one thing that I can say is stop worrying about filling up your sketchbook. You're already psyching yourself out. And that is, it's way easier said than done. Let's be honest here. But you're psyching yourself out to the point of an unneeded desire for perfection. So what happens is when you start putting lines down on a brand new sketch page and it's not to your liking, you immediately start questioning your ability. You get mad and you close it. Worst yet, you stop drawing. Okay, and I know that a lot of you listening right now are probably in that boat where you have just given up drawing, or you've always thought about getting back into it, but you kind of lost that desire and you just never have picked up a pencil to try it again. Well, that's one of the main reasons why I even have this channel. Okay, yeah, I teach people advanced shading techniques and making things look pretty and stuff, but it just all boils down to changing a mindset about how you approach drawing in general. Because drawing itself is supposed to be therapeutic. It's not supposed to be a chore or something that you don't look forward to. And I've mentioned it in videos before. I mean, if you consider it a chore and you're stressed out, maybe you shouldn't be drawing. Maybe you should be doing something else until you're ready to tackle this. What I'm doing here is I'm just throwing lines together and I'm forming a creature where I didn't have any real intent behind it. It's just big beastly quadruped, long neck, thick neck, smaller head. Maybe it could be a kind of a hero boss or something, I don't know. But I'm just having fun with this. Now with me, of course, my trick of the trade is creature design and then character design. But really you can tackle your sketchbook with any subject matter. So one of the ways that I like doing it, and I gave you the number one reason, just stop worrying about it. But two, you have all of this space, all of this real estate that you just continue to leave blank. And it almost becomes like an eyesore, even if you have cool drawings on there. Like you could have one cool drawing and then look at your page and go, man, there's so much else, so many other things that I could be putting on this sketch page, but either I'm too lazy or my mind is freaking out and I just want to put something else. When you start letting your ideas flow, because you can see that in my other videos, please check the playlist for drawing and also creature design, where I just scribble. I'll put different types of sketches in there, some with color, some not. Like I have no idea what I'm drawing here. What is that thing? Kind of like a wolf head? I don't know. It is a mammal, I know that. Also, I'm not to really cut myself off, but this is a black Prismacolor pencil. I keep things simple. I don't like using a lot of pencils. It just muddies the water. If you practice enough, it does take time, okay? But if you practice enough, you'll be able to draw with just one pencil and achieve light, medium, and dark lines to create depth, atmospheric perspective, nice shading, nice line work, line quality, etc. Okay, and that's easier said than done, but it's all about mileage. Okay, and I'm just having a lot of fun here, putting in some muscle tone. I'm not spending gobs and gobs of time on any particular body part. I'm just kind of letting it happen. And putting some hands in there. Just exaggerating the pose a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing in this lesson as you're following along with me, by the way, if you have a sketchbook right now and it's open, start scribbling along with me. But what I'll be doing is I'll be filling this one page up with sketches, and there's no clear intent behind it. Over here, I have a more finished one. Okay, this is just this big creature, and I think I named him Carl. I don't even know if I showcased Carl in another video, but this is ballpoint pen. This did have intent. I had a thought in mind of what I wanted the creature to be, and then kind of, it's a little different than what was in my head, but it happened, and I'm pretty happy with it. But that's the size of a human compared to Carl. So everybody say hi to Carl. Okay, so now we're here. All right, so you can see that if you want to fill up a sketchbook, give yourself enough space to have other smaller little doodles in there. Also, you want to feel good about the way your sketch pages look, right? I mean, who doesn't? Like, if you're an artist, even if nobody is going to be looking at your sketchbooks for anything, it's not a school assignment, you just want to feel good about what you're doing. And a lot of times we just think what we draw looks like crap. And we think we suck, and then we just stop drawing. We start blaming everybody else, and then we'll get on ArtStation and look at all of our favorite artists and go, oh, my stuff is never going to look like that. I suck. Stop that. That's that mindset shift that needs to happen. There we go. I need to sharpen my pencil, by the way. Yeah, for the longest time, when I sharpen my pencil on these videos, I'm thinking, I wonder if I should cut that sound out because it startles people. But I feel if I warn people ahead of time that, hey, I'm going to go sharpen my pencil now, then they don't get as freaked out. Because I don't know how loud you guys hold the volumes on your videos when you're watching these. All right, there we go. So here, I drew a mammal over here, kind of a big boss creature. Notice how on my sketch page, there's some space in between each drawing. So here's the corner of the page up here. There's a little bit of empty space. I had a fighter jet, some kind of weird plane that I drew in pen, and then I stopped. I think I had to go that day. I don't really remember what happened, but I knew I was going to come back to this page. And then down here, I'm going to draw this bug with some space in between to rest our eye. So that's how you can make an attractive sketch page too. It's all about resting the eye. It's same thing happens when you do armor for a character. I mean, I've been in the boat where I've drawn a character before and the armor is just way too busy and there's not enough space in the artwork for the eye to rest. So you want your eye to rest. I'm saying that as I'm scribbling the crap out of this creature. Oh man. I gotta take my own advice while I'm telling everybody else how to draw, right? Alright. I don't have my tea today. I did a video a couple days ago on how to use tea stains. And I was gonna drink my tea before this, just to get that little caffeine boost. I used to take pre-workout and that stuff, because I work out all week. You don't realize what that does to your heart. So if anybody's taking pre-workout, just be very careful with that stuff. If you get up past 250, 300 milligrams of caffeine in one scoop, be careful. Drink your water. So you can see here, I'm just scribbling on some shapes. I don't really know how much detail I want to put in these either. I don't need much, because at the end of the day, I'm not drawing this to impress anybody. I'm drawing this to show you all the importance of not caring about what you draw. Have you ever noticed that everything we do in life, doesn't matter what it is, everything we do when we're trying to practice something, instruments, video games, it doesn't matter. When you don't think about it as much and you just do it without obsessing, memorizing things, you actually do a better job. That's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm not caring about shading ability and doing it 3-4 different, positions or whatever. Another fun thing about using these scribbles and loose line work for your drawings and to fill up a sketchbook is that it happens really quickly. So, I mean, to be fair, art takes a lot of patience, but most artists have the attention span of a goldfish, and we don't really like to sit through design phases and iterations and numbering things to get our best designs. We just want things really quickly, which is why we get mad when something doesn't have what we want right away, so then we move to the next drawing. I'm going to try a little experiment here. I'm just going to take some Copic marker. I love Copic markers just because the vibrancy. I used to use these back in the day. There we go. Add a little bit of color on there, and you can't have a good insect without some spots on the back. Okay, and then to top it all off, why don't we put some orange in here? I don't know where to put it. Maybe on the back. Let's see what that looks like. Right in between the red. Oh yeah, that looks kind of neat. If you're drawing a deadly insect, definitely reds, blacks, oranges. You can think about the poison dart frogs and just look at their patterning. But it's really cool. The other great thing about Copic markers is that it sits on top of pencil really well. It's one of the few markers that actually does a good job with that. Just want to mix in some of these colors. Okay, and if you want to make your sketch feel solid, one of the good ways is to add some type of shadow on the very bottom of their appendages and then make it look like it's connected to the ground. So what we'll do is we'll scribble in, brush in some shadow right underneath the body. All right. So this is a good warm-up. Notice how when I started with this creature and I moved to this one, I ended up liking this one more. So there we go. Now the next thing that we can do if we want to fill up a sketch page and just feel good about what we're doing, we can do stuff really small too. Differentiating the sizes of your sketches within your sketch page, that also is a big help. Not only does it add interest, but it also allows you to experiment with different silhouettes that you normally wouldn't mess with. We all have our comfort zones when we draw, like shapes that we know that we're going to get to at some point. Oh my gosh, I was drawing off screen there. Here I am looking down on my sketch page, and I'm looking up the camera to make sure you're on. I'm sorry. Anyway, what was I saying? I totally lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so silhouettes, different shapes that you normally wouldn't do. Ooh, these are kind of gross because they look very jellyfish-like. One movie I definitely want to see again is Arrival. I love the alien creatures in Arrival. Just thought that movie was really, really well done. But I was thinking this one reminded me of that, like the big octopus-like tentacles they had and then the big legs and stuff. I don't know why I'm thinking of an octopus. Maybe it's because of this back head right here. So what I'm doing is I'm approaching this sketch a little differently. I'm paying a lot of attention to the outer silhouette just to see what happens. I'm not drawing any eyes. So what's happening now is I'm having a pretty cool looking sketch page erupting right as we speak. And that's what's supposed to happen. And I'm not thinking about this stuff either. I'm just kind of letting shapes fall where they may. If you're drawing along with me, that's great. Another tip on filling up your sketch page is think about what makes you happy. What that means is don't draw stuff because you think somebody else needs to see that. Draw stuff that actually makes you happy. If you ever wanted to get a job or land freelance work, even as a hobby and you wanted to sell your work, random people off the street buying your stuff, they're going to see the love that you put in your art. They're going to know if somebody is doing something without love. When I go to Chipotle and somebody makes me a burrito and I see that they're putting love into that thing, I'm really happy. I'll tell them, I'm like, you really know how to wrap a burrito. Thank you. And I enjoy that burrito. So the same thing happens with art. If I see somebody post art and it looks like they ignored tropes and they didn't create the art because they think that's what they have to do and they did it because they want to, it speaks volumes. You know, that's why I love the artist Nick Pominski, or aka Piotr Jablonski, because he's been my favorite artist for years now. Very creepy style. His lighting is some of the best I've ever seen in the world. Just great stuff. He does stuff for Dishonored. He's done stuff for Halo. Just really good stuff. And Destiny. Wow. What is that thing? I don't know what that is. Let me move this up here so you can actually see it. I don't even think it bites. It's just kind of floating there. Maybe it floats on some kind of planet where the gravity isn't all that great. There we go. So notice, too, that my line weight is differentiating between my sketches. Okay, I've only used this one pencil. You can't even erase black Prismacolor. Okay, so I want you guys to get out of the habit of erasing because you think you need to. Don't erase. There is a time and place to erase, yes, but very rarely do you need to do it all the time. And I think people erase too much and then they end up ruining their drawings. But anyway, that's like a rant that I've gone on before, and I don't want to go on in this video. But you can see here that I'm just pushing harder and releasing pressure in short controlled bursts to I can't even talk. I want to say so much to you guys. I'm doing this because I want to show you the different divots and everything in the body. I have more Copic markers. Copic? Copic. I have more markers here. Let me open a green. Let's see what happens when we put a green in here. Okay. Let's put some green. Oh, that looks kind of good. I didn't know how green would look on top of the moleskin paper, but apparently it's looking pretty good. I believe moleskin uses or has marker paper, but I could be wrong. I've only ever bought their regular sketch pages for graphite and stuff. There we go. That's kind of neat. All right, let's see what happens. We got to get something to counteract that color. Hold on just a second. I'm going to take... Ooh, man. This is a very, very vibrant... Yeah, there we go. Get some blue in there. Somebody's got some motorcycles outside. Maybe you guys can hear that. Again, I'm just thinking of the poison dart frogs in the jungles. Thinking, what cool color combination that would be if we were to just put it on there. That thing is gross looking. Okay, I'm going to have to use the brush tip. Let's see what happens if we lightly color the tip. Oh, well, so much for lightly coloring it. I have... Uh-oh. Wait, let's see if we can work with this. Okay, I think this is doable. If you ever do this in one of your sketch pages, which is another point that I want to make, if you want to fill up your sketch page without freaking out and messing it up, if you do something that you didn't expect and you think it ruined the entire page, think of it as a happy accident. Okay, so that actually looks kind of cool, and I did not expect that. Okay, so if I have this theme happening with little tiny membranes or shapes, maybe I can put... No, it's too busy up there. I'm not going to do it up there. Got you got brother and sister over here too. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't number these. How dare I? 1, 2, and then we'll do 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there's 5 right away. I got to sharpen my pencil too. Okay, let's move on. I don't have that much space left, so you can do whatever you want with this page. or the page that you're drawing on too. Just be careful that you're spacing these out enough to give yourself enough room to have your hand flowing nicely. Let's do, how about another mammal, but in this case, it's a very weird shape, almost like a slug mixed with a dragon. Just a very fat body. This is really nasty. Put a tail on it. Let's see what happens. But we got to give it a cool head. So let's give it a cool head. And you know what I'm going to say? Those of you that are familiar with how I address people when I draw creatures is, please name these. It looks like there should be some arms there, but I'm not going to put any arms. Instead, I'm going to have this really weird looking head. I don't even know if that perspective is correct. Let me look over it. Yeah, that's decent. Okay, I can live with that. All right, so you see here how I'm trying to really fill these gaps in on the page. Like gaps as in little areas, little pockets of space where I can add to the sketches, but without them becoming overwhelming. And here I'm getting this opportunity I see where this creature is not only worm-like, but centipede-like, insectoid, a little bit mammalian, and I guess subterranean, if you want to say that it digs. And the face looks like a fighter jet. You could even say that the face looks a little Evangelion. That perspective is very twisted because I did not do that correctly. Let me double check. So this is the way to double check. I'm going to sit over it. Sit over. Okay, so it's going up like that. Okay, that's pretty decent. We'll just keep it at that. All right, and then little arms coming out. So I'm going to approach this creature the same way that I did our friend up here, who, by the way, if you want to name our friend or friends, comment below and see what names you guys can come up with. I'm going to ask this every time I do creatures, and it's so much fun seeing the names. So I'm just kind of scribbling on shapes to see what works, what doesn't. I am not worrying about making mistakes. I don't have a creature silhouette in mind that I'm trying to put on paper perfectly. I'm just letting the lines come out. Okay, and that's what I want you guys to do also. Let the lines come out. Put shapes down that you normally would not catch yourself ever putting down. For example, I'm just going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm just going to put a bunch of spheres on the back. I don't know what that is. Are those babies? Are those baby sacks? Those could be. There's a big sphere on the side. That's kind of neat. So the tips of these arms will probably have to be darker so they can show up against the scribbles. So we can add some depth in here without going overboard. And a lot of these sketches are going to be random. So when even if you're doing characters too, with your struggles with anatomy and such, they're going to be random. So you're going to have body parts going everywhere that you don't really know what's happening. That's okay. Remember, your sketchbook is your diary. Okay, you're not doing this for anybody else but yourself. So if you have something that you're trying to work on, be it perspective, anatomy, nature, portraits, etc., whatever, please know that you're going to get there. You're going to get there by doing these. These as in thumbnails. And those of you that aren't familiar with me, I'm a creature and character designer for games and film. I've been doing it for about a decade. And I also mentor people on how to draw in general. If you're an aspiring concept artist and you're trying to learn the ins and outs of the industry, you're trying to get a job, you're struggling, you don't really know how to take the next step, I can help you with that. If you check the pinned comment and also the links in the description below, you can visit my website, creaturedesignworkshop.com, which is also the name of our Discord. That's where I hold all mentorships and workshops. If you want to find out more information about it. You can also directly email me at, I can't even talk today, bobbyrebholz@gmail.com. Okay, there we go. See, nothing fancy. That would be an area that I would just want to jump in and go, oh, I got to shade it. I got to shade it. But it's not going to happen. Instead, I'll just scribble on the possibility of shading without actually shading. Some of you might consider this shading, and it's like, no. No, it's not shading. It's rather... Okay, yeah, it is shading. Oh, man, you caught me. I caught myself. There's that center line going down the belly. It's again, it's all these thoughts. It's all these thoughts in my head, and I want to tell everybody everything. And I get so excited. This one is not friendly. So you know what that means. There's going to be a fiery red or maybe an orange involved. Okay, put a little bit of shine on it. A little reflector. A little bit of a little highlight. Leave that there. Ooh, I like that. That's cool. Let's do the same thing with here. And these little sacks. They could be see-through gelatinous poison sacks, I guess. Man. I like the orange against the pencil and no other color. What do you guys think? I think that's kind of neat. I don't really have anything darker than that. I mean, I could add a brown. Let's see what that looks like. Because that might work. Or actually, no. Take that back. Let's add in this purple. Okay, and let's add it near the base. Okay, and then sparingly whip up some of that purple into that poison sac. Okay, that's adding what could be a little core shadow there. So maybe underneath the outer shell of these sacs, there's an underlying purple membrane. That just sounded so scientific, didn't it? It did. It did. But I need patterns to repeat. So that means that a little bit of this orange is going to show up on different parts of the body. And I want to make sure that it is intentional. So if there's a pattern that I can follow on certain body parts, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, and the orange is showing up very well against the parts of the page where there aren't a lot of markings. Okay, so maybe, you know, the technique that I did when I dotted the belly or the shell of that creature up there, I think I'm going to do the same thing down here, but just put in a little bit more of a pattern. There we go, and then start it on the other side. But nothing too fancy, just an indication. Okay, that'll work. Great, and last but not least, there's space over here. Oh, I got to sharpen my pencil. All right, so let's see what we can do. Oh, after we number this, of course. So that's number 6. Look at that, guys. I filled up that page in no time at all. So let's see what happens when we just add in some crazy shapes over here. What is this thing? Looks like Casper. I don't... Oh, I got the idea of this probably from that. Like that disgusting sack floating in the air. So we'll see. Maybe I should add to that little critter. Because if these are little babies floating around, then maybe this is the adolescent version. But this also... that doesn't look good. Let's see what happens when we put 2 tubes going from, I guess, the head. Oh, maybe a 3rd tube. There we go. This thing is kind of gross, huh? Okay, what would you name it? Probably looks like a Tim. Okay, so I'm adding in some darker areas for like silhouette purposes, and I'm not going to get too fancy on it. This is why I love black Prismacolor. This stuff just gets so dark right away. You don't have to worry about layering and layering and layering and layering of graphite. It happens immediately. And of course I am applying pressure and releasing pressure. I don't think I'm going to put color on this one. I kind of just like it the way it is. It's a lot of fun. This could be an alien being too floating around. Okay, so again, guys, check the links in the description below. I want to thank everybody for watching me doodle and you listening to me explain how to fill up a sketch page. I did all of this by not caring. I didn't care what I did, and in doing so I had a lot of fun. It was very relaxing, and when you're drawing, it should be a relaxing thing. Okay, so check the links in the description for the Creature Design Workshop Discord and also my mentorship, and comment below. Tell me what you think. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Peace.